You ready for another lockdown? It's here. This time it's going to be because of fuel, not COVID. Here in Taiwan, it's not exactly like they're showing you on the news. There's no mass panic because of fuel. Well, everybody's driving just as normal. So, what are we seeing here? But you can get ready for more and more restrictions. So, let's walk through them, what you can expect, and maybe a timeline going out. But here's your playbook. And the reason I'm saying this is worldwide, they are talking about working from home again, 4-day work weeks, driving less. You're going to have to carpool. You're going to have to not fly as much. You're going to wait a minute. That checks the boxes of almost all these goals a little bit further into the future that we're hearing, isn't it? You'll have to have permission to drive your car. Let's dive into it, starting with the IEA. Sheltering from oil shocks. These are the 10 measures right now to reduce impacts on households and businesses. With your billion-dollar budgets, could you please do better graphics? This is horrible. This is like a third grader put this together. Just constructive criticism. Could you not scrape an emoji off the internet, off Emojipedia or something, and at least do? We'll start on the left. Alternate day car access in big cities, meaning even or odd license plates or letters, whatever they're using going into a city. Increase car sharing, drive commercial vehicles efficiently, and then we got lower highway speeds. We saw that in the 70s, 55 miles an hour. Avoid air travel on the far right. A little bit easier for you to read it with this, list here. Work from home when possible. Right at the top, encourage public transport. I've been looking for these signs. Zero in Taiwan. Had a friend in Japan driving around for the last 2 days. Hasn't seen it up there either. Zero in Japan. But the news would have you believe every station's closed across the planet in the Asia. Oil dependency, supply crisis, visualization. I'm in the red. I'm not seeing any, fuel prices went up 15%, but that is it here in Taiwan. Just an on-the-ground assessment. I am not seeing what you are being delivered into the news here as what is happening. South Korea announces mandatory fuel rationing, and check, right on cue. Vehicles at public institutions barred from operating 1 day each week and a 5-day license plate rotation. Hey, that sounded like alternate day car access in big cities. Breaking: South Korea has started a nationwide energy saving campaign, urging people to take shorter showers, ride bicycles for short trips, charge phones and electric vehicles at night, not to strain the grid during the middle of the day. I mean, I had to laugh. So, like, take a shorter shower. That's going to save the energy crisis. Oh, come on. This is maniacal and absolutely ridiculous, the things. But again, 2022, what did they ask us to do? Some of the ridiculousness is being just recycled, maybe adding a little bit different fabric softener on it, but it's going through the wash again. Vietnam, check. Work from home, prices spike. But wait, we've already been trained to work from home. That'll be super easy. Just do it again. COVID gave us hybrid work week. This war might give us a 4-day work week permanently. Oh, wait, that was one of the plans, I guess, at the end of this decade, wasn't it? We would all be working from home. Offices would be closed, so we didn't need to go anywhere. But let's go back onto the bad graphics here. Avoid air travel, far right at the bottom, if alternatives exist. Oh, wait, you might get stuck in the Philippines. Planes grounded. They don't have enough aviation fuel. If you go, it's a one-way trip. Don't you dare travel. You get stuck at your destination. Rethink everything. Yeah, that's what the messaging is here. And the gamification. Of course, we have the countdown clock, or I should say a clown down clock. Every movie has one. It's going to detonate. 3, 2, 1. Oh, there's a timer. Oh, the release. Oh, this, that. They've already trained you through the movies. Countdown clock. Here we go. 42 days. Critical diesel fuel shortages in New Zealand. I'm going to give props to whoever did the API and created this real-time status for fuel disruptions and availability in New Zealand. Unbelievable. You did such an amazing job. Like, I was blown away. The amount of data on this thing is like, wow, every country needs to do this. And whoever did it, again, props to you. This is amazing. So those supply projections, and we'll show you the different lines, just like they have with different emission scenarios and temperature rises. It's so easy to copy paste that. You've already been trained for 40 years. Why not use the same data? If there's no intervention and they don't do rationing, diesel, top right, will run out approximately April 17th. New numbers out of Washington show inflation is on the rise again. Another threat to you, your savings account, and your retirement. Ask yourself an honest question. Does your dollar go as far as it did 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, or even last year? What does the next decade look like for you and your savings? If your portfolio lacks exposure to gold, one of history's most reliable economic hedges, it's time to rethink your strategy. Gold has kept up with inflation and in many periods outpaced it. My friends at Noble Gold Investments specialize in helping people protect their wealth with physical gold and silver. Whether you're rolling over an IRA or making a direct purchase, their team walks you through the entire process and makes it simple. No pressure, just education and experience. And the limited time offer March bonus, get a 1/10th ounce gold American Eagle coin for new qualified accounts. Visit 2030gold.com and discover how easy it is to protect your financial future. That's 2030gold.com. Click on that link in the description box below. Now, if they do emergency lockdowns, then that purple line will extend you out until approximately April 27th. So 10 days, lockdown or no lockdown. I guess you're getting into desperation if you need to lock the country down to save 10 days of fuel, because then you're going to zero anyway. So does it really matter? Everything's color coded, just like a stoplight, just like the things that we saw in 2022, red bad days, red extreme danger in the city, yellow, we've all been trained for these same colors. So just follow the colors. Emergency lockdown 40%, although they reversed it. Green good this time. Well, green bad, actually, because it's the lockdown point. So they can't have it exactly because you might catch on. Supply projections. So the historical current, well, New Zealand's dropping off a cliff. They're really relying on imports. Obviously, they're an island. Well, so is Taiwan, but I'm just not seeing this same scenario play out here. No intervention baseline is red, obviously, and this is just be regular car petrol center there, top right. And the emergency lockdown will take us to 40%, I guess, savings, and that'll extend us out from like April 20th all the way up to like, I don't know, May 14th or something. A little extra on that. So got to go to the jet fuel. This is the important one that they're really pushing here, the aviation fuels. Again, it's very similar. You might buy yourself a week or two maximum by going complete draconian style, but hey, a week of fuel is a week of fuel. Got to get you trained again. Thailand, the fuel prices at stations soar 6 baht a liter, where they were at 32, 33 baht a liter anyway. So looking at about 20% increase. But hey, in America, we're well over 20% already. So, the headlines are scarier than what's truly occurring. And just the fact, Indian fuel prices up 5 rupees a liter. Again, that's within the baseline of just percentages, not doubling or anything. And then if we go over to Germany, limits fuel price hikes. They're going from 175 euro to €2 a liter, so 25 cents. So let's say equivalent per liter, and you need 4 liters to make a gallon, so it's up $1 a gallon. But here's the interesting part on the bottom there: rising fuel cost hitting haulage. So diesel accounts for 30% of haulage costs, or haul bills for a better term. What it costs to get it in a truck from point A to point B. And now, just because of that very small increase, they're already raising rates 8 to 10%. Then for sure, those costs are going to be passed on to you and me. Now, remember yesterday's video, I was saying that the Straits of Hormuz, Iran now is going to be charging $2 to $4 million per vessel that's going to transit through. So that's another additional add-on cost. The inflation involved in this is going to drive prices up. Now we can see everybody, because fuel is going to get more expensive on the diesel side, saying, hey, we need to charge at least 8, 10% more. So all of these added up, it's 1,000 cuts for a better term, and prices are going to quickly start doubling. Is this, or was this sort of in the scenarios anyway by the end of the decade is the question, because we kept reading about it, kept hearing about it for the last, 5 or 6 years, 2018, 19. People were written books about it. Things are going to reset. We're coming to a new economy. They're going to do this, but it's going to be because nobody will accept it, forced. So my question again is perfect timing. Everything's been pre-trained for the first 3-4 years. Now it had a, it's like they had to let off the pressure there for a minute. Now we're back on high pressure again. All the training kicks right back in. Work from home. Oh, we already did that. Just reset up my cameras in the office. Kick the kids out. They're going to have to live together. Bedroom turns into the office. Don't care. Everybody's under duress. They got to suffer a little. Little Johnny can't have his own bedroom. So, we're coming back to this thing exactly again. And you wonder, what the ultimate costs are going to be for this. Because once the prices get elevated, they're just not going to come down. Because remember your 2018-19 prices before COVID, once they reach those maximum levels, they barely came down. Our food's still substantially more than it was 2017, 18, 19. This will also be the same, like substantially up from the COVID up prices is going to stay there and it'll just hang out after this event is finished. You think these retailers are going to, take a hit and bring their prices back down? Never, never. This is where it comes in. You might need some universal basic income to afford the new high food prices. Well, that was already baked in the cake too, wasn't it? AI's here. It's all too convenient. This thing wraps into a sweet little package. And the European fuel shortages slash rationing. Slovenia becomes the first. You're like, oh no, it's in Europe now too. And it just keeps rolling. I haven't heard much in South America. So I'm surfing the news every day hard looking for these things. Energy rationing coming to the EU, coming to the UK. Yeah, they're already broadcasting. You are going to have to deal with this because, well, they say so. African nations, fuel shortages triggered by the conflict, gotta be rationing as well. And they keep mentioning COVID, home work from home measures, and there's force majeure out. Fertilizer is going to be next. So I wanted to dive in Australia here. This is another one. They're running out of fuel. Now, again, how much are they or how much is purposely held back? Because you got to realize military's government, they're going to pull back first and barely trickle some out to the public. So fuel's there somewhere. Public's just not getting their full share of it. Fuel siphoning from cars. So that means people putting a hose down and then, siphoning fuel out of the cars to get it for free. Going to need to put some locks on your gas tanks. Now, this is back on March 22nd, and we're only at the 26th. So I'm going to walk you through 4 days at a time. 107 fuel stations are out of diesel. 47 were totally out of fuel. So I was wondering how many fuel stations are in Australia, because other news comes out and says there's 500 stations that are out of at least petrol or diesel. And then it said there's 600 stations in addition to the European shortages. So I jumped on Grok, and there's 7,800 service stations or petrol stations, gas stations in Australia. And if 47 of those are out of fuel, as based on the March 22nd numbers, that is 0.6% of the stations are out of fuel. Here's the gray line. 600 stations are out, roughly 8% are missing at least one type of fuel. They're not totally out of fuel. See, they're juggling this out of fuel, totally out of fuel, out of a type of fuel, going to get more, got to ration it. So again, the juggling act of the information itself, it was they're out of fuel. Oh, wait, there's only out of fuel some. There's some out of diesel, some out of gasoline. And they're going to keep juggling this around. But the ultimate point is governments serve governments first. Like for continuity of government, of course, you're going to have the fuel. So what's being trickled down and given out to the public is through the government and its systems of private partnerships, through the refineries, through the distributors, through the importers and the ports, going out and delivering that to the public, what's left after governments take what they need for continuity, for military, obviously, emergency operations. They're going to need an entire bevy of fuel needs themselves. They let the tanks go way low. They're refilling as this is going on. So the fuel shortages, at least had the best I can explain it is these are currently artificial because governments are pulling fuel first and they're leaving what is left after their needs back to the public. So nothing's running out really at 100% everywhere. It is being restricted because, well, first flows are going elsewhere. And this whole thing being played out as this, juggling numbers game with juggled bits of information, some of it true, some of it misconstrued to create confusion. Well, that's the world we're living in right now. So be very discerning on what you're seeing in the news. Let's jump onto the hardest hit countries with quantified station closures slash outages. In Laos, 1,000 stations are out of fuel or closed. Now, again, they didn't dissect it out of total fuel or only out of diesel or only out of certain types of fuels, high octane, low octane, ethanol blends. They're not really specific, but about over 40% are affected. If you got 2,500 stations, 1,000 are affected. Cambodia, 364 stations out of their 6,300, puts you around 6%. Philippines, this is a big one. They keep putting the Philippine, everywhere I'm looking, Philippine headlines. I don't know why they're focusing on this place so much. They would have you believe that you're never getting out of there ever again because of the jet fuel shortages. And they are the least affected in the petrol station closures, but they're getting the most news out of being mostly disrupted. So, other context for affected countries, no precise closure numbers available. Thailand, 10 to 20% of the stations temporarily unavailable at peak demand, meaning rush hour when lines are stretching down the street. They'll just close off pumps. We don't have it. Government told them to do that. Wait for lower queue number or longer lines or less longer lines, and then turn the pumps back on. It's there. It's just not being given to the public when people are panic buying. You see, they're trimming it like this. Slovenia, they're closing because all these other European nations are driving in to fill their gas tanks. So there's a lot of foreign plates coming in. They call it fuel tourism there. Overall, Europe, Hungary, Germany, I'll come to that in a second. And there's different queues and rationing across Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Myanmar, Bangladesh, Vietnam, India, and New Zealand. Now over to Germany and Hungary. Well, the Germans are driving over, filling up in Hungary. And when they came back, the police are all over the roads. They're not solving crime. They're stopping people on the roads, checking their gas tanks. Because if you bought fuel in Hungary from Germany, you have to pay the tax and they get you right on the spot. Like I say, I have an empty tank. I rock over into Hungary. It costs me, say, $150 to fill up. I go back and they're like, you didn't pay the German tax on that because Germany's limiting fuel purchases. And, they're creeping up towards a good $8 a gallon, where it's cheaper in Hungary. It's cheaper in Slovenia. So even this whole thing about the fuel shortages, they can go across the border, but when they come back, they're being pulled over. And the ag diesel as well. If you got ag diesel, that they color it. It's either red. Ours is green in Tennessee. It's red in other places. So if authorities were wanting to see if you were running agricultural diesel, which is giving it a no tax discount to farmers by 500 or 1,000 or 5,000 gallons, they could sell it off out the back of the field. And eventually we're going to start checking gas tanks on diesel vehicles to see if you're using ag diesel. This is the world we live in. Oh, it's just getting more bizarre, but everything's being tracked. More QR code. This is what that online mobile systems are about to know exactly where your car has gone from point A to point B. And in the future, when they say you can't drive, they're just going to turn our cars off so we can't even start them to go anywhere. Welcome to 2026. Oh, it's a beautiful world. So running you down here, somebody did a good job throwing the flags in front of this. Not all of them are fuel shortages, but it just gives you kind of an update as through the week here as I'm doing, but in a shorter fashion. Sri Lanka, 4-day work week, rationing, schools closed. Can't have all the parents driving the kids there using that fuel. Make them take the bus again. Pakistan, overnight price surge, doesn't show how much, but we're talking 15, 20%. But that is absolutely catastrophic for a lot of people across the world, a 20% rise in fuel. India says they have 9 days of reserves left, but I'm calling BS times 10 on that one. They're in the top world's, I think they're the 5th in the world for refining. It's just almost impossible that India could be this affected. I've seen a lot of commentators from India going, how is this even possible? So I'm following their news over in India of the people that are on that end explaining that that's not possible unless it's manufactured. So just put that as a feather in your cap, as a piece of information. Japan, they lied. They said 254 days, but actual 95. But again, I have somebody up there driving around currently looking for closed stations, and they're not finding any. So that one picture you saw circulating on the media that said, thanks, Trump, fuel station closed. That was a, Twitter moment, and that can't be found. That station's not findable anymore. UK, of course, they're warning for it's coming. Germany, gas up. It's going to get more. France paying more. South Africa says everything fine. People showing empty pumps. Again, this is what I'm saying. It's an information overload here for most people. Brazil nervously watching, but again, they're oil producer. Why would they be nervously watching? They have refineries down there too. Brazil's going to be well off. America, We got refineries. India's got refineries. China's got refineries. Yet somehow the world's running out of oil and finished product. I just don't get it, unless it's being purposely shelved. And China, 1.4 billion barrels stockpiled. They banned exports of all fertilizers, and they're still getting oil. And the Southeast Asian nations are turning back on their coal burning power plants as well. If they can't get the natural gas, we'll go into that tomorrow. They're switching back to coal. Like, they didn't destroy theirs. Australia, boom, they blew them all up. Germany, boom, there's no possible way. They just, took it to the ground and scrapped it all. Well, smartly here, they just mothballed those power plants. They're turning them all back on. So the repercussions of this, everybody's going to burn coal. And if they can't get whatever the cleanest anthracite or whatever it might be, they're just going to go back to whatever they can get. I don't care if it comes from a peat bog. We're burning it because we need electricity. You think these governments are going to get overthrown because they're concerned about burning a dirtier quality of coal? Of course not. That would be insanity. We're going back to the English 1850s smoke in the street, smoggy kind, before they'll ever have citizens overthrow them. Come on. This just twisted everything back on old school again. So all these saves and all this, forward movement into renewables has just backtracked about 2 decades. So the elephant in the room, top countries' dependence on Middle East. Now, this is Asia here because all the news in the world's focusing on Asia. They're out of fuel. Japan, 93, 95%, extremely high reliance. Hold strategic reserves. They're not rationing to the point yet. Stations are still open, contrary to what you're seeing of all these signs everywhere. Can't find the signs. So what's generating those? AI. What up? South Korea, we saw that in the beginning of the video. They are now telling people work from home and rollover spot. Singapore. But they are the through point down off the Malacca Strait. They have the most oil coming into that place of any nation on the planet, pretty much in a port scenario. How are they? Again, this has to be manufactured. India, there's some great analysis. I encourage you to look out at people talking about Indian refinery madness, that it can't be because just the sheer volume of it being like the 5th in the world. How is that even possible? China halted all fertilizer exports. They're keeping all fuel in. They got massive oil fields. Hell, they refilled a bunch of fields, and their storage is massive, so they're not going to be affected. I'm over in Taiwan at the moment, and significant exposure to Hormuz. By the way, they went away from that about 5 years ago. They're about 30% dependent, and you haven't been hearing about that in the news, have you? Because everything is floating as normal here. Gas prices went up 15%. There's no shortages. There's no people hoarding. There's no signs on the gas stations. It's just, what you're seeing in the news is not what's really happening. Vietnam, they're telling people work from home. Although they do have offshore oil fields themselves, they don't have the refinery capacity. Thailand has some refineries. Noble dependence, they might have to start switching imports. And then Malaysia, significant Gulf crude imports. So as we look at the overall scheme of it, there are disruptions, I agree. But it seems currently these shortages that we're seeing out to the public, again, are somebody's being served first before the scraps are being given to the public. Everywhere, across all these nations. At that point when reservoirs are full or strategic reserves have been topped up, that overflow might go, or it just might be held. Depends on what is trying to be achieved here. And just in a very common sense way, is this organic or is this a plan? Hostilities, if in your right mind, you didn't think after going after this nation, putting them into a corner where you're like, we're even going to steal your oil reserves. We're going to replace all your leaders. We're coming in with our form of leadership, that they're like, well, that just means we totally die on the vine and our complete history of civilization just disappears. They're going down to the grandma with a meat cutting cleaver in the kitchen kind before you're able to get in there. So if that wasn't already analyzed and gamed out as a possibility of the straits being closed, like, y'all should be fired as analysts. Like that, that was already on the baked into the cake. If the pipeline delivering 5 million barrels to the Red Sea gets cut, then we'll be in some shocks for sure, because they got that alternative route running over the Red Sea through the East-West pipeline in Saudi Arabia. Be discerning with the news. They are flipping facts, they're juggling half truths. It is, but it isn't. The governments are saying one thing one day, another thing they're different. Oh, the fuel's been released, got to alleviate the shortages. Oh, it's just this huge scare campaign to stop everybody from traveling first. Get you to get used to staying home and not driving anywhere. Get you used to not being able to drive because in your head it's expensive. Government said don't drive. We're not going to drive. There's and imagine getting caught on the road. Your plate doesn't match for the day. They'll tow your vehicle. There are going to be fines, maybe prison time for driving. And now with all the advent of these new vehicles, they just turn them off. So the world we're about to enter is planned already. I mean, it was already a futuristic view of what this scenario is today anyway, already through our, media and just common, water cooler talk for the last 5 to 10 years. Now it's here. So is it any surprise that it's here? And how long does it take to move to the next step? Think about COVID. That was what, like 20, 21, 22, 23, about 4 years or so. Then they had to let off the gas because too much pressure. People were getting insane. The pressure cooker there. So you got solid 4 years. In the first year rolling in, the people were untrained. They didn't really know how to behave. You had to teach them all this work from home, teach them, stand 6 feet. But you had to teach everybody everything, right? So let's say 3 years solid of stress. Had to let that off because if you do that too much, people just quit caring and it doesn't affect them anymore. Like the buzz wears off and they're like, whatever. So they just behave differently. Let off the stress. People get 2 years of, wow, it's all over now, but bam, we're right back on it. So if we're looking at any indication of pressure on, pressure off, pressure on, pressure off, this is going to roll for 3 years. And by that time, we're getting precariously close to a new decade. Seems to fit, doesn't it? And I do appreciate your valuable time. But if you're looking for storable foods, 4-week food supply, 3-day food supply, 1 week, dip your toe in the water, you're not spending an enormous amount. Check out My Patriot Supply. I like what they have. And also trueleafmarket.com. We're going to need to grow some of our own food immediately. So this is one of my favorite seed companies. They have a huge selection and they pull in from other seed companies, all heirloom, different grow zones, depending on where you are in the US or anywhere across the planet. One of my faves. I'll stick with them forever. We have good germination rate on everything we planted. Very solid. So those are two of my nuggets for you. If you want to just instantly get prepared on something I believe in, I've tried and trusted myself already. Please share this with your friends and family. This information is really, really important to try to, game out, see what's going to happen. We're going to go through a lot of, do this, don't do that, jump the rope, jump to that square kind of things here, moving real quick. So get used to it. Already understand it's going to end at some time in the future. It's not going to be a permanent thing. And just get ready for being directed every single day to do something or restrict something. Do you have backup plans? If you're going to be at home, do you have something to do there? Hey, work on your garden and other things like this. If you work at home, just take it as a gift to be able to go grow some of your own food. Get tight with your family, make this a family activity. And if they're going to make you stay home, great. Don't just sit there and twiddle your thumbs and surf media all day. Do something productive, like start a community garden with all the others that are stuck at home too. That would be awesome. That is a way to get off centralized systems and not have to listen as much because you're growing your own food. What if you can't get to the supermarket? You're not allowed to drive this week because it got really bad. You can't drive for 2 weeks. You have to walk or ride a bike everywhere. A supermarket's 20 miles. Too bad. Take one for the team. So you're going to be push, pulled, directed, boxed in corners, let out all through this whole thing as it unfolds. So have a plan and good luck to everybody. I'll bring you natural gas disruptions tomorrow. It's a biggie too, and that's why everybody in Asia is now switching back on the power plants back to coal, and we'll see how that might play out. Until next time, bye for now.